Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the Abbott and Salim's webinar. We are the co-host for today's webinar. I am Ankit Kankar and I am the product manager for BioSpectrum Asia. BioSpectrum is an integrated B2B media platform for the bioscience industry in the Asia Pacific region. It caters its readers from pharma, biotech and medtech industry segments through its media products and services at daily, fortnightly and monthly frequencies across countries in Asia, US and Europe. In this webinar, we introduce you to a laboratory information management system LIMS and demonstrate how this software can help you achieve regulatory compliance, quality management throughout your product lifecycle. Before we start the webinar, there are few house rules. Let me take through. All participants are placed on listen only mode. In case you have any questions, please raise them once the question and answer window pop up on your screen. We will try our best to answer few question and answers if time permits. This webinar is also available on demand on biospectrumasia.com. And today's speaker is Tiffany Gabriel. Let me take through a brief role of Miss Tiffany. Tiffany is an experienced LIMS consultant and business analyst responsible for implementing LIMS software solution. She has over 15 years of experience implementing LIMS technology solutions across multiple platform and client industries. After receiving her Bachelor of Science Chemistry at the University of Newcastle, Tiffany joined Alpha Pharm, a generic pharmaceutical manufacturer, as a chemist and was responsible for implementing a LIMS into their laboratories. After 6 years administrating the system, she joined Abbott Informatics as a consultant, where she has led the implementation of Starlim solutions across different sectors. Let me introduce Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, and thank you. Good morning and good afternoon for everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the pharma life cycle. Okay, so let's get started. As illustrated in this slide, the work that goes into developing one pharmaceutical medication is incredibly expensive and very time-consuming. Only 1 out of every 5 to 10,000 compounds become an improved medicine. A compound even making it to manufacture isn't a guarantee the drug will be a success. Any issues found during manufacturing process can prevent you from getting your drug to market, or even worse, it could be pulled from the market. On average, it takes around 10 to 15 years and $1 billion to bring one drug to market. As you can imagine, any improvement to make the process more efficient or any system that can minimize the risk of failure can be a significant impact to the bottom line. Some studies actually predict that the 1 billion to market could actually balloon to be as much as 12 million for molecular therapies, where the testing required is much more complex. Today we will focus on how a LIMS can be the most positive impact and help you complete the pharma life cycle. So times are changing, right? As we've touched on, the healthcare industry is shifting to precision medicine and personalized biotherapies. This means that the pharmaceutical life cycle is becoming more and more complicated. If we just look at pipeline, first with a greater number of drugs in the pipeline, organizations must be able to identify feasible candidates faster to save time and money. Smaller target populations means that the cost per drug increases while the predicted revenue of the drug decreases. Not ideal. Clinical trials are becoming more complex, which obviously increases the time and cost of performing a study. These trials now produce more data, so this data must be able to be easily managed, or you'll surely be drowning in paper. Depending on the type of drug you are working on, rates of success vary. But in general, only around 10% of phase 1 clinical trials go on to be a marketable product, which will realize revenue and make a company money. I'm not really into gambling, but this is a pretty low return on a considerable investment. Competition. In case it wasn't hard enough, competitions from generics and alternative therapies is fierce. The pressure to discover new drugs quickly before your current ones run out of patent is very high. And regulations. Rapid evolving government regulations are a challenge for any laboratory, but they are especially stringent in pharmaceuticals, which add even more cost to the pharma life cycle. Throughout the pharma life cycle, there are data management issues at every phase. This means multiple chances of failure, which leads to delays in getting your product to market. And basically, you are still not making any money at this stage. For example, during drug discovery, difficulty managing data can lead to overlooking promising product candidates, or you could be wasting valuable time developing non-viable products. Or during clinical trials, hard to manage data can mean you are left with inadequate results. Questions on safety and effectiveness could delay the application process, all things you really want to avoid. Disorganized data during a governing body review can result in long-lasting audits, which is personally my worst nightmare. You can also get delay in your approval time, or worse, a rejection of the product's application. You can see how poor data management can have a significant effect on your risk. The good news is these issues with data management are preventable with a little help. I'm just going to review some of the specific challenges in each phase of the pharma life cycle now. And we're going to start by looking at R&D, which covers both the discovery and preclinical phases. So in research and development, you have massive amounts of data. And R&D is forced with the organization and integration of large quantities of the data. While this is common for all phases in the pharma life cycle, it's most challenging for R&D because you're discovering. Integration. So you want to organize your data. You also have to convert the data from pieces of equipment and other software programs into a format that is usable. This can be not only difficult and time consuming, it can also become a source of error. The testing complexity, which is only increasing in today's environment, also provides a big challenge. More results from testing, such as omics, requiring more interpretation, is taking more time and adding more cost and sources of error. And information versus knowledge. Finally, all the data and results generated during the R&D phase have to be changed from information to knowledge. This information gathered is only as good if you can actually provide valuable insights to yourself or your clients, allowing you to make important business decisions. Okay, so now let's have a look at the clinical trial phase and its challenges. Research with human subjects adds a new level of challenges to drug development on top of the ones that we've already discussed. So compliance, regulations are now so much more complicated as the intention is to protect the subject's safety. Efficiency, also because you are now dealing with living, breathing human beings, you have to go to great lengths to protect their personal health information. Privacy and security of the test subjects must be documented, audited, and monitored at all times. Unless you have automation of this documentation and monitoring your techs, you'll be spending much more time on administration tasks than the actual science. This scenario would have a significant impact on the efficiency of your lab. Another challenge we see is geographical. Clinical trials can be conducted simultaneously at different facilities all over the world. Secure but timely access to trial data is very important to the trial, the success of the trial. And also results must be evaluated at many different levels, such as efficacy, side effects, contraindications, drug-to-drug interactions, etc. Tools to provide timely and accurate data analysis are imperative to the success of a clinical trial. Contract research organizations have a few additional challenges that in-house trials do not have, but luckily LIMS can help manage these. They have competition. So pharmaceutical companies are increasingly outsourcing to contract research organizations. But as this is increasing, so is the competition. CROs must be able to market themselves among a highly competitive field. Uh, Technical expertise is necessary, and the organization must demonstrate the ability to manage the high volume, complex data that will be produced for their client in order to help maintain their reputation. And client satisfaction. Again, efficiency is essential. Clients will require fast turnaround times, and keeping costs low is mandatory to be successful in this market. In the end, if you don't have satisfied customers, you don't have a business as a CRO. The use of highly sophisticated LIMS can give a CRO the edge necessary in this competition and space. LIMS will support their needs for efficient trial management and provide accurate and timely laboratory data. All of this making them more appealing to their clients and potential clients in the future. Now let's have a look at the point of where the maximum investment occurs. At this point, your drug has been approved for manufacture. Some of the challenges that we have already spoken about do exist in this space. However, the focus has switched from the product, which presents a different set of requirements for LIMS. The overall aim in this phase is to mass produce your product while still maintaining quality. Batch management becomes very important. QC laboratory for manufacturing facilities can be hectic. Changing priorities due to the supply chain can mean analysts have to drop everything and change what they're working on. The availability of equipment and the number of available analysts can also be challenging. Regulatory compliance. Audits by regulatory agencies can be frequent and disruptive to your business. Quite often, audit preparation means analysts are taken from their regular job to prepare paperwork, etc., for the auditor. So while they're doing this, they're not helping test the product. Quality assurance. Production must comply with drug and chemical manufacturing guidelines such as GMP, GLP, GDP, etc. Audits can be scheduled and unannounced, and you don't want to be found to be doing anything that would require an audit to be repeated. So QA, very important. And finally, data integrity, which is definitely a buzzword in the pharma industry now. The focus on data integrity is massive. If labs are using paper workbooks, they're heavily reliant on the analysts being accurate, and it's very time consuming. If your analysts are anything like me, handwriting can cause major issues and it can be difficult to interpret, and you run the risk of paperwork being lost or damaged. Manual processes contain multiple points for transcription errors, which can lead to the need for inefficient processes to be performed to check for transcription errors. For example, when you're using a balance and you want to test that for a test and you have to check that it's been transcribed onto the worksheet from a printout. It's also very difficult to prove that results were contemporaneously entered, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Hybrid paper and electronic processes provide its own set of challenges, and transcription errors are still very much an issue. So now I've set the tone with all this doom and gloom, let's have a look at how StarLims can help mitigate the risks in the pharma life cycle without unnecessary costs or expanded timelines. Increased volumes of data coupled with an increase in complexity of that data are best addressed with a tightly integrated processes and systems. First, let's look at the difference between the terms interface and integration. A software interface is a bridge that allows two programs to share information with each other. Software integration means that the product works as one solution. So as you can see in the picture here on screen, the LIMS is part of the fully integrated platform and provided by StarLims, which requires business transformation. A LIMS that provides integration, not just interfacing between business processes, also provides integration with laboratory equipment and your other systems, will help maximize data accuracy and provide efficient workflows. It also will help minimize the risk of data entry errors. So most of you will be aware of the ALCOA, or I'm going to call it ALCOA acronym, used to summarize the requirements of data integrity. But let's just discuss how LIMS can help you achieve these expectations. So starting with attributable, which means who performed the action and when. All data entered into LIMS can be attributed to the user that was logged in at the time. Changes made in the system can be configured to require an electronic signature and reason. So at all times, it can be proven who entered the result. Legible obviously means that the records can be read. And as we discussed earlier, with handwriting, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes. And people with bad handwriting like myself will have to be very careful to make sure that they are recording results in a readable format. But obviously, all records are readable and permanent in LIMS, which means they can't be altered in LIMS without triggering an audit trail, and they're easy to read because they've been typed in. Contemporaneous means that the result was recorded at the exact time of capture. Using a LIMS is the only way to guarantee this requirement. All testing that is performed in LIMS will have a date timestamp attached to the record by turning on the audit trail. So as the result is entered, the auditors will be able to see exact times that this happened. So the last original and true copy. This is the so is this record the first time it was produced, or is it a copy? Instrument interfacing to LIMS removes the transcription points, ensuring that your records are original. And finally, accuracy required no editing to be performed without it being documented. Exactly what LIMS handles out of the box. So if you do change a result, it's going to prompt you for your password, and you can set it to ask you for a reason as to why you're changing. So now some of the examples on how LIMS can help you achieve the data integrity expectations are full sample traceability, the complete automatic audit trail, and also having compliant controls on the access to the system. It is also important to have a LIMS that is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant with controls on the data such as e-signatures. Also, it's critical that you can show your sample genealogy right from the testing of raw material batches through to the final product results displayed on the certificate of analysis. Just expanding on the audit trail and traceability. Oops, sorry, go back. A compliant LIMS will allow for the full sample genealogy in a complete record, which will consist of several things, such as every analyst that worked on testing the samples, QC records, equipment calibration records, testing materials used, etc. Also results that include the specification for the result and the automatic logic that is applied during the testing. And as you can hopefully make out in this screenshot, all of this information is available in the one screen in StarLims, making it quick and easy to do a review of your batch to ensure procedures were followed. The, the audit trail should be available for transactions in the system. The reports for the audit trail should be automated. And this screenshot illustrates the history of a folder, and you can see all of the events that occurred in the folder, such as when it was created and any of the status changes. And you can also see the user. Okay. LIMS allows you to keep track of all areas of operation through integrated traceability and data auditing. This means sample tracking from start to finish. Each sample can be provided with a unique barcode, and all this information sample or reagent locations in LIMS, which will ease searching for your analysts and save you a lot of time. It can also generate testing schedules that are accessible to all parties with appropriate access to LIMS. You can automatically analyze results using sample information and collected data, no matter when the data was collected or produced. You will be able to provide client and trial specific reports that can include preclinical trial data at the touch of a button. LIMS makes laboratory inventory tracking easy. You can track things such as quantities, locations of and expiry of reagents, and testing solutions in stock. No more will it be somebody's job on a Friday afternoon to go around the laboratory reading every label on reagent bottles such as mobile phases to ensure that they're still in date. You can organize the shipping and receiving of inventory items in the system as well. LIMS gives you the ability to monitor equipment usage and calibration or maintenance without the need for old school logbooks or calibration stickers. You can automatically schedule sampling points for your environmental monitoring and QC samples based on your schedule need, such as daily, weekly, etc. Mobile applications really take LIMS to the next level, making it easy to use a flexible solution for your users. Recording of data in areas where traditional desktop PC is not feasible can also speed up the process as well as protect against manual data entry errors. So your users can have a mobile phone or a tablet walking around the laboratory performing their work. This also ensures the contemporaneous part of data integrity is upheld. So as discussed earlier, it is becoming more and more complex uh, in this space, and with this complexity, we need the flexibility. So we need to be flexible. A LIMS should allow you to use an existing template or design your own experimental workflow or test methodology. So a configured experiment or test in LIMS can schedule tests based on a user-defined logic, manage equipment usage and maintenance, generate a results report for further analysis, for example, to provide to the trial sponsor, generate advanced statistical reports related to an experiment or test, and data collected on instruments interfaced with the LIMS is automatically entered into the system in a format compatible with other analytical programs. In summary, a LIMS that can accommodate a wide variety of testing protocols provides flexibility needed when dealing with multiple client and project needs. So data is not data is only as good as its usefulness, availability, and the knowledge it provides. LIMS can allow you to automate analytics. Why is this important? It's because it allows users to be proactive instead of reactive. Analytics dashboard templates are provided via our content library. You have the ability to personalize and expand them. This speeds up the implementation of new trials, projects, and clients, and they'll all want to see their data in a slightly different way, and you'll be able to do that quite quickly. Advanced analytics reports can be exported, emailed, and saved. This helps integrate the lab data with external systems such as regulatory agencies. Advanced analytics also provides added values to contract research organization clients. It gives them greater visibility to their project data, and provides easy access to supporting data for their eventual submittal for approval. The advanced analytics dashboard shown here allows an organization to monitor the environment on their manufacturing suites over time. It will highlight as the areas become problematic to allow users to act faster to issues. So basically, advanced analytics is truly turning data into insights. It's making you be able to make those proactive decisions on what's happening in your business rather than reactive. So you're nipping problems before they, in the bud before they become problems. Now let's talk about how a LIMS can help you tackle the compliance needs of your organization. Obviously, patient information security is a very high priority. Security, LIMS needs to be able to support all cybersecurity and patient confidentiality regulations for both on-premise instances as well as cloud-based offerings. Access controls. Doctors, researchers, managers, and technicians should have individual access to specific data, and only what they need to see, nothing more. This data should be accessed through a customized user portal with full audits for access implemented. Data integrity must be maintained to ensure compliance with all major regulatory agencies and acts, including FDA, CLIA, NIH, and HIPAA. All sample movement transactions and changes must be tracked for easier auditing. Privacy is very important. Subject data must be able to be blinded or anonymized on demand or by default, specific for each project. Privacy and consent management must be synchronized with the clinical trial management system. And finally, the internal review board. Trial parameters approved by the IRB must be enforced, and trial results must be able to be provided on demand to investigators, sponsors, and the board. The LIMS platform must help ensure compliance with all major regulatory acts and agencies, national, regional, and global. My pictures here that I've got on the screen show some of these governing bodies, but I stole this from a slide from a presentation done for the US, so you can see the FDA is right up there in big lights. Obviously, the European pharmacopoeia is of major importance for most businesses, and if you are selling to Aussies like myself, so is the TGA. That's our version of the FDA. It's also worth mentioning that LIMS should aid in your compliance with all major ISO standards applicable to your quality processes in the laboratory. A robust and sophisticated LIMS provides the tools, structure, and workflow support for quality processes with minimal user intervention and maximum effect. Okay, so we all want a solution that is built for globalization. So consolidation is made much easier by Starlim's having the ability for multiple language capability. So if you do have that ability, it allows the multiple facilities from anywhere in the world to access a central repository without the need for translation tools. A cloud-based solution is cost-effective for small volume laboratories or labs that have geographical considerations. Uh, Global standardized support, very important. LIMS can support your global standardization efforts by enforcing a common set of terminology, project attributes, clinical trial monitors, reports, etc. Centralized review process. So secure and audited access to all trials from a single organizational entity, regardless of geographical location via LIMS, supports the centralized review process. And finally, streamline best practices. LIMS can streamline the enforcement of best practices for all trials, regardless of geographical location, client, project, or test methodology. Okay, great. I'm starting the last few slides in summary. So now we're in the home stretch. As you can see from our review up until now, all phases of the pharmaceutical product life cycle will benefit from an intelligent LIMS that improves organization and enhances operational efficiency. The benefits realized with the consolidation of all of this data is one centralized database cannot be exaggerated. Integration of pre-existing data in different formats, interfacing directly with many types of equipment, easily searchable records, a cloud-based database accessible from any computer or mobile device, automatic backup of data, advanced analytical capabilities are all vital elements to a LIMS supporting throughout the pharma lifecycle. And as you've guessed, StarLIMS provides all of these features. Now to overall benefits of a successful LIMS implementation, it is all about risk minimalization, and StarLIMS can help your business through the transition of the phases seamlessly. The majority of investment in a new product happens during the first 3 phases. Revenue is not realized until the product goes to market. Any inefficiencies or flaws in the life cycle increases the risk that the early significant investment will not only be offset by the market revenue or will be delayed significantly. If the delay is too great, a competitor may be the first to market, which means you are losing precious money. A system that eliminates silos of data, improves the data quality, and moves more efficiently through the lifecycle phases improves your return on investment significantly. So in summary, each step of the way, StarLIMS can help you boost production, efficiency, and performance. In R&D, we can handle method development, unstructured data support, as well as your analytical analysis. In clinical trials, we can provide a centralized platform for information collection, patient data security, and a varied workflow support. And in manufacturing, we provide structured testing procedures and traceability and visibility of all quality testing. An incremental efficiency in any phase can lead to a quicker approval and quicker time to markets, which improves the return on investment. There are many more ways StarLIMS can help you address all the challenges we have explored today. With over 30 years in the industry helping labs like yourselves navigate the complexities of their businesses, StarLIMS has the proven solution to help you fully integrate your pharma lifecycle and to help develop your products and expand your market share. I want to thank everybody for your time today, and I hope you found this presentation interesting. And now comes the scary part for me, the questions. Thank you.
Anyone who have questions, please ask the questions.
Okay, so I've got a question that's just come through that says, in your experience, what is the biggest benefit implementing LIMS for a pharmaceutical customer? Okay, so let me think for a second. If I have to choose one, it's actually quite tough. I guess it depends on whose point of view you are looking from. So, as an analyst personally, and that's my background, I know my favorite part of LIMS was the fact I didn't have to perform calculations anymore, and the instrument interfacing made it so much quicker for work to be done. But if we're thinking along the lines of a business as a whole, I don't think you can look past the importance of active. So, not complying to regulations is a huge risk to the business, and we are talking about medication that humans take. Humans that they're most likely sick. So, product recalls are a huge risk to the reputation of a company, and most importantly, to patient safety. LIMS just makes compliance easier and makes it more noticeable when something goes wrong, so corrective action can take place before a disastrous scenario happens. Okay, so there's a few here. So one is, how much training do laboratory users need to undergo before they can start using LIMS, and do you support the training? Okay, so it depends on the level of the user. Just have a look. So it depends on the level of the user that you're training. So if you're training a LIMS administrator, for example, so that's a person that's going to be involved in your project and is going to help you set up your data in the system. That's going to take around sort of 4.5, 5 days. And Starlims definitely provides that training for you and as part of the project. If we're talking about an end user in the laboratory, usually that should not take any longer than a day, and different businesses want to do it in a different way. In general, Starlims takes a train the trainer approach, which means we will train your training staff in how the specific areas of the system tailored to your business that they will need to train in. In other cases where businesses don't have trainers, sometimes we've done that training for them. So it's on a case by case basis. And I just want to mention as well, with the world moving towards mobile solutions, the training required for mobile applications is so minimal. Everybody nowadays can open up their mobile phone and they can open an app and they can pretty much work out how to use it. And Starlim's mobile apps are actually exactly like that. Within 5 minutes, you can have somebody up and running and performing a specific task in LIMS without any in-depth training. So I think that's the really cool thing about the future, is that the training and onboarding of new staff becomes not so onerous for the business.
Yeah, that's great, Tiffany. I would like to thank everyone, since we're running with a short of time. All the left questions will be answered soon personally to everyone on their emails. And I would like to thank Tiffany for being so kind to live at 4 a.m. from UK.
Thank you. No worries.
Yeah. And I would like to
Thanks.
thank all the attendees for making time to attend the Abbott and Asalim's webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.